Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Let's start the week off with some groaners. Oh! Are you ready? Frog parking only. All others will be towed. Get it? And here's my favorite. I was addicted to the hokey pokey, but I turned myself around. Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a May 15th. And a good morning to you, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service, 734-6969. Right now, here's our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, my dear lady, and we will see you Thursday at Lunch Bunch, I'm sure.
Yes.
All right. God bless you, Lorna. Thank you so much.
Have an awesome day.
I will. Thank you, and the same to you. Appreciate it. There is one of my favorite friends and ladies from the Lunch Bunch, and that's, of course, Lorna. God bless her. I just think the world of her. Hey, don't forget Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. And right now, here's the weather.
Today and for the rest of the week, not going to be as nice as we would like it to be, but it is May and springtime here in southern Idaho. Here's the weather forecast for today. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side, winds out of the west, right around 11 miles an hour. Cloudy skies, high of 63 with an overnight low of 39. Tomorrow, winds picking up to about 16 miles an hour out of the southwest. Expecting rain showers, possible thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon, high of 61 with an overnight low of 36. Still going to be windy for Wednesday out of the west, right around 25 miles an hour. Looking at a 60% chance of rain showers throughout the day, high of 45 with an overnight low of 36. And then morning rain showers for Thursday with a high of 57. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, and she does a great job. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. God bless you. And let's see, I've got some notes here I need to go through in just a minute, and then we'll start taking some of your phone calls. Dry cleaning saves on your clothes, I'm telling you what. And spring cleaning, now's the time to do it. All the curtains, the bed sheets, and the covers at Daryl's Cleaners. Nobody does a better job than they do. Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew, at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They are the best. By the way, did you know that you don't have to do your own washing of your clothes now? No, you can take them in there to Daryl's. Yeah, they'll help you out. They know you're pressed for time. And they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes. I mean, man alive, talk about taking that load off your shoulders at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those really great people today. Tomorrow on the program at 9:06, we're going to have Gary Shoresman on the program talking about the Minidoka County Historical Society open house at 99 East Baseline in Rupert. It's going to be this coming Saturday, the 20th, beginning at noon, and we'll be telling you a lot more. They're going to be dedicating the new Ray Stockton Tack and Livery Room. That should be, I'm going to have to get over there and see that. And that's going to be on this coming Saturday. By the way, too, for all your heating and electrical needs, and, of course, your cooling needs, I hope it gets that hot this summer. Man alive, I got my doubts. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The people have been in business for over a half a century serving you. So stop in. They open the doors at 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. You know, Saturday, I was going to go out and work my arena because I knew we were going to use the arena on Sunday, hopefully yesterday, and we're going to have a big family gathering and everything for Mother's Day. So I go out there on my tractor, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying the facts. I wore a winter cap with the ear laps down, a vest and a winter coat, and I was doggone chilly on that tractor, I'll tell you what. And it just makes me wonder about these global nitwits that are saying, oh, we've got to cool the earth off. We've got to cool the earth off. What are you talking about, you twits? My goodness. And it was a wonderful weekend, Mother's Day weekend. Saturday, I went shopping with Deanne. I'm not bragging about this, but I enjoyed it. Underline the words, enjoyed it. We went shopping, and I said, dear, anything in the store is yours. Of course, there were a few minor palpitations and trepidations when I said that, but it was a very pleasant day. And then yesterday we went over to my daughter's for breakfast, and then in the afternoon we had all the family over here. Oh, it was nice. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there in the audience. I hope you had a good one. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant. And that's, of course, at 611 North Overland in Burley. And we are going to be there on this Thursday. Write it down, this coming Thursday for Lunch Bunch. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. If you haven't gone in there and checked out all that complete list of the new burgers, wow, what a lineup of great eating right there with those new burgers at Denny's. And then, of course, breakfast anytime, all the time, all the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You stop into America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Yep, it's great, Denny's Restaurant. You stop in and see them today. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Wow. I tell you, the left, they won't quit. They're getting worse. They're becoming much more vocalized, and they're more energized than ever. And stories in the newspaper this morning. Headline, Trump must be impeached. Here's why. And one part of the story was so phony and ridiculous by an author in the Times News by the name of Carl Loeb, university professor at Harvard Law School. And he said, let me see here. Even before he being Trump, fired FBI Director James Comey and shockingly admitted, listen to these words now, on national television that the action was provoked by the FBI's intensifying investigation into his, meaning Trump's, campaign ties with Russia. That was never said. I mean, come on. The left can falsify, change, and just basically denounce the truth, and they get away with it. But now Elizabeth Warren and the entourage of left liberals with the anti-Trump rhetoric, and unfortunately, Elizabeth Warren speaking at a commencement ceremony and just turned it into a political hanging of Donald Trump. And the list goes on. I mean, it was Bernie Sanders, and Oprah's getting in the fray now. Oh, my goodness. But the key all weekend, and I think there was like 14 or 15 news clips the same. Now, I'm not going to stand behind the 14 or 15. I think it's roughly that count. They had all these different Democrats on the radio and television this weekend. And they were all talking about, well, we know the facts about this Russian collusion with Donald Trump. Yes, well, what are the facts? Well, they're all going to be coming out soon. Well, where are the facts now? Well, we've got to get to the bottom of this. And they ran a news clip this morning. And the Democrats, they had them all featured from Elizabeth Warren all the way to, Tim Kaine, the VP pick for Hillary, etc. We've got to get to the bottom of this. All of them with the same rhetoric, the same words. Quite frankly, the way they're acting and the way they're carrying on, they already are at the bottom, at the very bottom, with their lack of class. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. Start the week off right. Make me feel warm and fuzzy. Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. All the equipment rentals, retail equipment sales, they have all the equipment to get the job done right. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin, I had to stop and swallow because I got a new cough drop. And then also the big location at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Oh, my goodness. And the Walker mowers. 0% interest for 48 months. Woo-hoo. Mow like the pros mow. Barry Equipment and Rental, Jerome, Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Good morning, caller. Thank you.
Good morning to you also. You know, Trump spoke at Liberty University.
Yep.
As their commencement exercise. And these are the words he said. Don't worship the government, worship God. And I thought that was so profound that he would even bring that up.
Well, you know, Keith, let's talk.
Conservative university, so he didn't have any hecklers.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about his speaking at Liberty University. I talked to a person that was there and covering the speech of Donald Trump at Liberty University. And the person I talked to said, my goodness, it was an excellent speech. It was very motivational. And Trump came out and said that this is a land of opportunities to be successful. The doors are open for everybody that wants to go out and work hard. And he kept equating that with the belief in God, the belief in yourself and your family, with the abilities God has given you. Oh, the left hated it. They were climbing out from under their rocks to condemn him, along with Hillary and also Oprah. Oh, they hated him at Liberty University.
Well, why is it that the liberals, the left, the Democrats, just put them all in one basket? Why is it okay for them to lie, outright lie, and it's a curse when Trump even says something, whether it's true or not?
You know, Keith, I can't answer.
Liz Comey, when he fired him,
yeah,
one of the things I guess that were said, according to the Democrats, was, I appreciate your loyalty, or I want your loyalty, or would you be loyal to me, or something to that effect. And Trump said, absolutely not. That was never even brought up.
You know, I can't answer your question, but I think it's going to get worse. And I am not on a Monday morning I am not trying to sound negative to you. I'm not trying to create an aura of pessimism, but I think the left is absolutely committed to a disrupt and a resistance attitude, even if it involves violence and criminal activities. I don't trust them. I think they're absolutely insincere as trying to represent a portion of America because they're going against our Constitution and they're going against our value system.
You know, and it don't matter who Trump nominates for this position of director of the FBI. It's not going to be happy with them.
Oh, no. No.
They're going to complain about whoever it is.
Yep.
I don't understand it. You know, when we're born, do we have an R stamped on our forehead or a D? We aren't. We're all individual people, and I think there's people out there that think what is right, regardless of a party.
Yeah. You know, Keith, I agree with you. I've had it up past my ears with all this garbage that the left is trying to promote, all this garbage of a platform that I think should have been shuttled into the back corral along with the rest of the steer you-know-what material. I'm fed up with these people. They're nothing but troublemakers and activists that want to keep everything in upheaval, and we've got to solidify this country now.
You know, there's one thing I want to say in closing is that, you know, those bobble dolls that you used to put on your dash of your car?
Well, I never did, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I agree with you. Hey, Keith, always good to hear from you. You broke the ice this morning with our first call. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Man alive, I've got to get over there. I'm having a little trouble with my knee, and I just want to make sure that Nick and all the physical therapists over there can help me a little bit with that knee. And I'll guarantee you they can help you get back to being you. They are the best, and all you have to do is call 678-1191. All the exercises, the hydrotherapy pool, oh my goodness, you call today. You got sore muscles, trying to recoup from an accident or whatever. Oh, they're there to help you at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. That number again, 678-1191. You be sure and give them a call today. I urge you, they are absolutely the best. Also, real fast, I want to remind you about Ag Express. They're looking for drivers. And I've been telling you this for a couple of weeks now. And retired folks are welcome. They're looking for full and part-time positions. And they'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week, whatever works best for you. You're home every night. Yes. New and maintained equipment, vacation schedules, benefit programs. What are you waiting for? You better give Dale and Paul a call at 438-8886. Allen in Twin Falls, 731-2495. And Russ in Burley. Hello, Russ, 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Be sure and call them today. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, that speech that Trump gave at Liberty University, I talked to a person that was there covering the event, and they said Trump did a phenomenal job. It was very inspirational and really laid out a good path for the students to think about furthering their careers and becoming successful. What in the world? What in the world is wrong with someone like myself or anybody in the media saying, go out, work hard, and try to be successful? The new Miss USA. Hold on, caller. I'll be right with you, I promise. The newly crowned Miss USA basically said the same thing, and the left is going Looney Tunes over what she said. She's a conservative and proud of it, and she said that people can get out and go to work, and they can work for what they get and be successful in this life, and the left is going nuts. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. You know what? I'm embarrassed for the Democratic Party, or the left. What do they value in this world?
You know something?
We put up with Obama for 8 years, and I don't believe there was this kind of stuff going on in the headlines or in the public.
I did not.
I didn't like him especially, but he was our president.
That's right. That's right. I can't stand the man. I hated his ideology. I absolutely found his presidency to be despicable, but never once on my program did you hear me say or do or advocate the filth that's coming from the left right now.
Well, and I think that Americans overall are watching this. And I can't believe that the Democratic Party has a very long lifespan ahead. Because if you love America, if you have a job, if your children are prospering, how can you join the Democratic Party? It is not anything but kind of a new communism almost.
What is there? You bring up an excellent point this morning, Chris. What is there that would promote family values? What is there that would promote Christian values? What is there that would promote work ethic and trying to be successful values? What is there in the Democratic platform that really says you can be anything you want to in America if you go out and try? I can't think of anything.
You don't even hear it from them. This is a fair. Nothing is fair. Well, do you know what? Life is not fair, and most of us have had to deal with it.
Absolutely. I've
never seen such crybabies in my life, and when one of my children acted like that, they were sent from the room really crying.
What good is it doing the Democrats or people the likes of Oprah Winfrey or Tim Kaine, who I find to be still a clown without makeup on his face, and like I said, Oprah or Elizabeth Warner or any of them, this continual backstabbing, this continual biting, and this continual saying that they can't accept the election? I mean, this has got to stop. We've got to be unified in this country. The opposition, even our allies, are looking at us with a look of disdain and real trepidation because the Democrats are tearing this thing apart.
Well, when I was a little kid, my dad carried a big stick, and he taught my brothers and I, sisters and I, a lot about positive motivation. And you know what? We need positive motivation.
Yes.
We do not need half of the country crybabying. So lots of times their bellies are full, they have good jobs, and they have a future.
Yep.
What do you have the bellyache about?
You know, and look at these young people. There are so many young people, and we've got some right here in this area, by the way, that are extremely sharp, extremely smart, extremely motivated to take the talent that God gave them, and they're going out and they're being successful business people, they're being successful leaders in their community, and then on the other side of the coin, you've got the millennials that are so dang lazy, they won't do a thing except stand there on the street corner and yells and complain and swear, and if things don't go their way, they strike a match and they burn things, they break windows. What is the matter with these kids? What are they going to be in 20 years? On the same street corner with a tin cup?
Well, possibly, because not being able to find a job, not being able to afford enough money to buy your food is a real rude awakening.
Amen.
And I think that Americans still look to hire people who will work, not stand on a street corner and resist.
Amen. Chris, always good to hear from you. I got to do a commercial break. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless. Oh, my goodness sakes. I want to remind you about Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. They're going to have this Thursday, May 18th, at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce. They're going to have another one of those hearing luncheons. And they had such a great success the last time. They urge you to RSVP to the office at 312-0957. That's going to be this coming Thursday, the 18th, at the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce. Another hearing seminar put on by the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup of Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Once again, call for an RSVP. Lunch will be served, and it's 312-0957. Thank you. Hey, I'm going to give away some cookies right now. And I want to say thank you to Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. What a bakery. What a restaurant. Ooh, what good food. It is fantabulous. And right now, and this question is open for first-time winners only. Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. This is an easy one this morning. Everybody should be calling in right away. What color was the horse that Ben Cartwright rode in Bonanza? What color was the horse that old Pa rode in the TV Western series Bonanza? He never changed from beginning of the series till the end. What color horse did Ben Cartwright, the old Pa, what color horse did he ride in that series? 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call real quick, and you'll win a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. First-time winners, come on, get on the phone and give me a call quickly, 436-2244. What color horse did Ben Cartwright, the actor's name was Lorne Green, but he played Ben Cartwright, or Pa, on Bonanza. What color horse did he ride through the entirety of the series? Okay? Give me a call, 436-2244. Caller, good morning. What's your answer?
I'm going to guess Bay. It's strictly a guess.
Nope, you're all wrong. I'm sorry to say that. Have a good day.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Nope. Come on, callers, give me a call. You should remember this. It never changed. He never changed to a different color horse on that series, nor did Little Joe, nor did Hoss, or did Adam. They always retained the same horses, same color, I should say. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. It was a buckskin, wasn't it?
Have you ever won these cookies before?
No, sir.
Well, you're about to, and so I urge you to tell Sophie's that you want sugar cookies without frosting, and I'll eat half of them. Thank you very much. Donna Mass, you're the winner.
Thanks, Zeb. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you very, very much. Donna Mass is the winner. It was a buckskin, and it never changed through the whole series. So, come on. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And Donna Mass is the winner of the dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh, my goodness. Let's see what else have we got. You know, we commented on this about, last Tuesday, I think it was. How the male in movies and television and commercials, maleness of standing up and being rugged and strong and John Wayne types or whatever, has been replaced with wussy little guys that couldn't punch their way out of a wet paper bag. And another example of this was on this weekend. It was one of the worst commercials I've seen in my life. And if I step on somebody's toes, that's all right. Geico commercial. And it just showed that the guy was so inept and so stupid. And the wife, of course, being the feminine leader of the family, came out and saved the day. I thought, my gosh, come on. Why downplay one or the other? This is ridiculous. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, young man. I just want to compliment you. You made my day.
How so?
You put that article on cow pies and coffee cups about Russell Smith. I am going to copy that and frame it and put it in a picture frame and hang it on the wall.
Well, you
impressed me so much.
I'll tell you what, Jerry, I was going to comment on this at the end of this hour, but I will comment on it right now. For those that didn't know, dear friend to me and to this program and to the Lunch Bunch and to the area, Russell Smith, 3 times Purple Heart recipient, fighting for this country, the United States of America, passed away last week at the Veterans Home up in Pocatello, and it hit me pretty hard. I knew at 92 years of age that, time runs out for all of us, but I was deeply saddened by his passing, but I just wanted everybody to know when I wrote that last blog last week how much I appreciated what he did for us and our country.
Well, you did a beautiful job. I just can only say I appreciate it so much. You've left a lasting memory for me that I will have on my wall to remind me.
Well, Jerry,
I'm going to blow that up. I'm going to go the 2 steps beyond where it's at and blow it up and print it out.
And
I appreciate what you do there, young kid. And I can call you young kid. You are a couple years younger than me. I just wanted you to know that.
Well, you make me have some very moist eyes right now, Jerry. That's very kind of you. And believe me, everything that I put on that paper for that blog about Russell was heartfelt, and thank you for your kindness this morning. Thank you very much.
Yes, and may the Lord bless you and your whole audience, every last critter that's out there listening, and even some that aren't, that are your audience. And you have a wonderful day. I'll try and stay out of your way and not ruin any more of it.
No, you didn't ruin anything. As a matter of fact, you made my day for me. Thank you, Jerry. God bless you, man.
You bet. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
That was very nice. It was not at all difficult for me to write a tribute to and about Russell Smith. He meant a lot to Deanna and I. And, here was a man that was a 3-time Purple Heart recipient fighting for our country. He joined the military as a teenager, the United States Army, and was wounded 3 times severely, came back and wanted to fight for his country again. And I will say this morning. I wasn't going to elaborate too much on this morning, but Thursday they're going to have a service for Russell. After the Lunch Bunch is over, we're going to go and attend that. I just wish, and I pray, that these naysayers, these millennial kids, punks and wet noses today, that are so quick to denounce our United States, that are so quick to burn the flag, that are so quick to say we got to do away with the Constitution, that are so quick to say that they want to have absolute resistance and unrule in this country, could have known Russell Smith, could have maybe sat and visited with him, and maybe learned and appreciated what it was like donning the uniform of the United States Army and fighting for this country. I was particularly blessed to have had the man as a friend, and many, many, many times I visited with him about his past. I visited with him about World War II. And he was on the radio on a couple of occasions, and we talked about various things that had happened. And I think one of the most moving things that, and I'm not ashamed to say this, it just moved me to tears to the point where I couldn't even talk, was when they went to the Nazi concentration camp, Buchenwald, and freed the survivors, if you will, that were left in that Nazi concentration camp, death camp, and listened to his words and watched his tears and then shed some of my own. The people of today that have never had to experience war and have never had to serve their country and have never had to see and live the horrors of war, I wish they would just shut up. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Once again, I want to remind you, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, and they're offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems that can keep your home feeling absolutely perfect. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today. They've been in the business for well over a half a century, at 678-0459. That number again, 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Also, want to remind you about some really good friends. You know, Mother's Day just ended. Now we're going to be going in about another 2 weeks, less than that, to Memorial Day. A lot of you are going to be staying home. A lot of you are going to be doing projects. A lot of you better get a hold of K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hebron. They've got all the equipment for those lovey-dovey jobs. Yep, I mean, whether you're working outside or you got a project in the garage or you got a project in the house, they've got all the equipment. Yes, they do. From forklifts all the way to lawnmowers, man. They can help you at K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hebron. The number to call, 678-3122. You give them a call today. Really, really good people. All right, come on, don't let me down. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to ask you this. I am not really that familiar with the program on television called Last Man Standing. However, I have a lot of respect for Tim Allen, the star of that show, Last Man Standing. And I do not watch a lot of the sitcoms or any of the sitcoms, to be quite frank with you. I do not watch anything but news on the various networks so I can compile notes for my program. I watch a lot of sports, and to be very frank with you, I watch a lot of the old Western movies. That is the consummation of my TV watching. But I heard this, and it really bothers me, that Last Man Standing, which, by the way, had some of the highest ratings on TV right now, with over 8.1 million viewers a week, has been canceled. The top-ranked television sitcom, starring Tim Allen, has been brought to a screeching halt. And the network isn't saying anything. They're not saying any reasons or whatever, but the rumor is out, and it's not a conspiracy theory. The rumor is out because Tim Allen is an avowed conservative, that they were out to get him, and they did. And Tim Allen was a staunch supporter of President Donald Trump, and he played a very conservative voice on his program Last Man Standing. And he oftentimes on the program mocked the liberal line of thought, if you can call that a liberal line of thought, and also mocked the Democratic Party's policies. Well, now he is gone. The liberal left has beat him, and they've knocked him out of a job, and Tim Allen is nothing more than a memory, unfortunately, on the program Last Man Standing. And he made the comment when he was on Jimmy Kimmel's late night show in March, and I'm reading the quote right here. He said, "You've got to be real careful around here in Hollywood. You get beat up if you don't believe what everybody else believes. This is like 30s Germany." And evidently he was right, because Tim Allen and his Last Man Standing, gone. One of the highest ranked programs on TV, and nobody's saying anything. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care in Burley at 382 North Overland in Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin. And Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days, for heaven's sakes. They'll see you now and take care of you at the Urgent Cares. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Today and for the rest of the week, not going to be as nice as we would like it to be, but it is May and springtime here in southern Idaho. Here's the weather forecast for today. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side, winds out of the west, right around 11 miles an hour. Cloudy skies, high of 63 with an overnight low of 39. Tomorrow, winds picking up to about 16 miles an hour out of the southwest. Expecting rain showers, possible thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon, high of 61 with an overnight low of 36. Still going to be windy for Wednesday out of the west, right around 25 miles an hour. Looking at a 60% chance of rain showers throughout the day, high of 45 with an overnight low of 36. And then morning rain showers for Thursday with a high of 57. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thanks, Gina. I'm kind of like going to Las Vegas and putting odds on the table or something. When are we going to get a forecast? Here's what I want on a Monday forecast sometime in the very near future. I would love to hear sunny today, light winds, 75. Tomorrow, sunny with no wind, high of 80. I'm craving those days. Come on, send us some of that stuff. Weather brought to you this hour by the Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Twin Falls Urgent Care in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. It's true. Minor emergencies, major care. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning again. You know, the one thing that really, really bothers me is the way that the left puts out news. This fake news is not even as good as fake. It's terrible. Like, for instance, Donald Trump is going to dump his entire staff and everything, including Ryan Priebus and some of those. Those are not Donald Trump's words. Those are words that are just made up by the crooked left.
Well, Keith, wait a minute. What difference does it make if there is a major shakeup in the staff? What difference does it make if certain people are fired and new people are rehired? In any new administration, maybe some of the wheels aren't rolling the way they should, and maybe there should be changes, and that happens to a lot of administrations. So why is there such a big deal if there are some changes?
Yeah, but the thing of it is, he's never said these things, and he'll tell you.
I know it.
I've never brought that up to anybody.
No,
yet they put it out there like it was gospel.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, you know, here's the thing.
It's just terrible.
There are some problems in the Trump administration right now, and the problems are there are security verbal leaks. And if they're going to shore up the confidence and shore up what's said and done, they've got to take care of those leaks. I mean, as an employer, okay, you were in the car business. If you had somebody making special deals behind your back that were going to hurt you, Keith Cottom, wouldn't you want to shore up and make sure that that person or group of persons no longer works for you?
Yeah, that's right, and I agree with you 100% there. But when you start putting words in a person's mouth,
I agree.
Like, this is the way I'd like to see it be.
Yeah.
That's not right.
No, I totally agree with you.
Worse than fake news.
Well, this whole thing about Trump, I mean, what has he done? Okay, Keith, I'm going to give you not more than 30 seconds to give me an answer on this, so don't ramble. But what, in honesty, looking at both sides of the fence, comparing the grass on both sides, what has Donald Trump done, A, that's unconstitutional, or B, that's so threatening to the Democrats?
None of the above.
I agree with that.
He's not getting credit for all these things that he's done.
I agree with that.
Our economy has grown better and faster than ever before. and he's put a stop to a lot of these things. Boeing aircraft was fined, I think, something like $8 million working on Air Force One and Air Force Two of things that they did wrong. And these are the things we need to know about.
Yeah.
Not who's going to be next to get the hatchet.
I don't care if the President of the United States is very bullyish, if there is such a word, in his verbal harangues of people. I don't care anything about that as long as he gets the job done. I want to see people go back to work. I want to see people's names reduced from the welfare roll because we've got a lot of leeches in our society that are too doggone lazy to contribute, and I want to see those people go back to work and earn their living, not be given their living. I want to see more national security. I want to see more of our economy growing because of better energy programs. I want to see the world take notice that we're not going to take guff from them anymore. And quite frankly, that's what Donald Trump is doing.
Yeah, and I'm behind him 100%. You know, the people who are getting on the dole, and they're certainly not going to get off, those are the people who are making the most noise.
There was an old movie that was starring Andy Griffith, and it was about Andy Griffith going into the military, and the movie was called No Time for Sergeants. I'm going to change the movie title, and I'm going to gear it at Chuck Schumer and Hillary and all the others on the Democratic Party, and No Time for Democrats. Would you go to that movie?
I would. And in that movie, they used to call those recruits onion heads.
Yes.
Because they had to shave their head. And the reason why they shaved their head, just for the information of those who've never been in the military, is because of lice and other things that may be in their hair.
Yeah, well, I tell you...
It wasn't to punish anybody.
That's right.
It was to make sure that things didn't spread.
All right, Keith. Appreciate your call as always, my good friend. Thank you so much. Now go shampoo your hair. Thank you very much. Hey, don't forget on Thursdays we got a brand new segment with the University of Idaho, Tony McCammon. It's time to grow. I tell you what, old Tony does a good job right here on the radio, and we're very appreciative of all of his facts, whether it's trees or shrubs or lawns or garden. I mean, this guy is sharp. Tony McCammon, University of Idaho horticulturalist, on Thursdays at 9:15. Don't you forget that. Oh, my goodness sakes, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Yeah, I was talking a minute ago, I'll tell you this real quick about the newly crowned Miss USA. And you talk about a sharp lady. I mean, it wasn't the standard question and answer. Well, I want to save the world because I blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't anything like that. She just said, and she was asked questions, poignant questions. She said it's time for people to get to work and work for what they get. The left is going zonkers. How dare she say that? Why, that's terrible. You know, it all goes back to, and we've said this for a long time on this program, ever since I started this talk show. You, and you, all of you, you can succeed at anything you want to in this country if you knuckle down, buckle down, and try. America is the greatest opportunity for anybody. And I'm living proof of that. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, to get where you're going this summer, drive safely on the best of tires for your pickup and SUV, your car tires, horse trailer tires, and, of course, boat trailer tires. Oh, my goodness, doing the right thing matters, always has, always will, at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Yes, they really care. Yes, they know tires. Yes, they know all the tread designs. Yes, they know what's going to best befit your driving needs. So please up in and talk to the pros. They know. At your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, the best in brake service. All of this, all locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Yes, they are the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Next hour, we are going to have at 9:15 Vicky's Country Garden, and then we go to Craig Richardson, president of the Energy and Environmental Legal Institute. We're going to be talking about old Tom Steyer, you know, the liberal left, over the multi-millions he's donated to go up against conservatives. And at 10:06 this morning, Pacific Legal Foundation attorney Mark Miller, and then at 10:30 this morning, Rachel Alexander. That's coming up on Zeb at the Ranch. Right now, we're going to take a little break for the news from CBS. They're going to wreck everything we built with our Legos this last hour, and we'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. We'll see you then. Wheels, take it away. Here we go. Here we go, hour number 2 on a Monday, May 15th. Can you believe it's May 15th already? Holy mackerel. And the weather doesn't act like it. Come on, weather, grow up. Be somebody. Be nice. Anyhow, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho,
You know, we had Joe on the phone with us last week of Western Way. Well, hold on, caller, because I've got to get this commercial in. Don't forget Western Waste Services. Joe was on the phone. We were talking about everything from porta potties to all the different sizes of all the dumpsters that you can get on your property. And, of course, the great big storage units. Oh, my goodness. You better give them a call, because I know they can help you. Loyal to community and loyal to the people that they serve. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, good morning, Zeb. I was calling to talk to you, to give you a piece of good news that I heard from my brother that lives in Alexandria, Virginia. He deals with EPA. He's an environmental lawyer. I hate to admit that, but he's an environmental lawyer, but he doesn't work for the government. And he said this is the only time in the 40 years that he's lived back there and had to work with them people that it's different. He said EPA came to them and asked them what they thought and told them what they were going to do as far as getting rid of the regulations.
Uh-huh. Well, it sounds to me like maybe the EPA has had their fingers slapped a little bit with the Trump ruler, and it sounds like it might be getting better. Don't you agree?
I think it absolutely is, and I hate to see him get bogged down, but they are professional people that bog you down, and I hate to see him fall for it. He's got a little glitch here in the bog, but I hope he gets out of it and gets it figured out. All they're trying to do is mire him down.
Would your brother,
according to my brother, he really feels good about it, and like he said, it didn't matter whether it was Republican or Democrats. This is the first time that's ever happened.
Let me ask you a favor, sir. Would you mind asking your brother if we could coordinate a time that he could come on my program and answer some of my questions?
Hey, I sure could. I was going to stop and give you his number, but you were teaching them young people how to rope yesterday. I went by and
I didn't want to bother you while you were doing that, but I sure will. I'll talk to him about that.
Let me tell you something. Those young people were giving me a lesson. I'll tell you that. Hey, call me and let me know his number, and I'll try to get coordinated with him. I really would appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, sir. God bless you. Thank you very much. I'd love to get him on the air. Hey, don't forget our friends at Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street in Hayburn. The number to call is 678-1177. Warm hearts for cold noses. I've been telling you this now for a couple of weeks, and it's really serious, that the parvovirus, highly contagious viral infection that spread to dogs and puppies, don't pass up. You need to get the time to take your dog in and be vaccinated against that parvovirus. It is a very deadly virus. So please get a hold of Ark Animal Hospital today at 678-1177. Dr. Bill, Dr. Liz, the whole crew. Warm hearts for cold noses at Ark Animal Hospital, 678-1177. Also, our thanks go out to the excellent people, friendly people, and very helpful people of Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, number to remember, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Joel Hewitt, his family, and his staff serving you in a time of need. Believe me, when there's the passing of a loved one, like I said, everything is just up in the air. You don't know what needs to be done. You don't know how to get it done. They can and will help you with all the arrangements. Always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. Oh, my goodness. In just a few minutes, we are over the river and through the woods or through the desert. We're going to go over and visit with Vicki at Vicki's Country Garden, so stand by. I love that segment, and I love Vicki. She is just really the best. Don't forget, too, our friends with Lennox, and Ramsey Heating and Electric. For over 50 years, I mean, man, that is something. That's a tribute to Ramsey Heating and Electric. Over half a century of serving you, along with Lennox, and offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems. All you have to do is call them today at 678-0459. That number again, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox at 678-0459. Oh, boy. Quick note here. Coming up at the end of this month, and I really want you to be there. I'm going to be out of town, but I absolutely want you to go if you're here. The May 27th for the 3rd annual Idaho. Can I say that again? I bit my tongue. There ain't nothing more painful than biting down with your grinners on your tongue. Anyway, May 27th for the 3rd annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride. It's going to start at 9:30 in the morning at Let's Ride, sponsored by the Rupert Veterans Memorial, the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, and the City of Rupert, and they're going to have their special ride to support the fallen soldiers. And after the ride, everybody's going to meet at the Idaho Roll Call Monument at 7th and Scott Streets in Rupert for the memorial program and food to eat at 1 p.m. For more information, contact my dear friend George Mass at 650-0104. Okay. And last but not least, while we have a moment here this morning, I want to remind you about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. There's all of us that there's times in our lives we need a little extra help. Well, they can and will help you if you want to become a resident at the Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. And they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. And they urge the public to stop by and visit their facility anytime for tours. Yep, only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Minnecaska area. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Right now, we're going to learn about gardening. I'm telling you, this lady, she is just absolutely a dynamic lady. I just enjoy having her on the program. Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South 600 west of Paul. And the number to call, 438-5663. It's time for Gardening for Idiots, named aptly after me because I'm not the best gardener, but I'm learning. And this is a wonderful lady. Good morning, Miss Vicky.
Zeb, it's a little cool out there for the middle of May, I think.
You know, Vicki, let's talk about that. Saturday, I had to go out and I was on my tractor doing some work, and I was all bundled up with a bandana on, ear flaps on my cap, a hooded sweatshirt. Wait a minute, did I turn too many pages in the calendar and I'm supposed to be back in March?
Well, I keep saying Mother Nature, I think, has dementia. She can't figure out where she's supposed to be. I think we need to put her in a home.
Hey, okay, the weather is not conducive for nice, warm, growing soil. How bad has the weather hurt or stopped or stymied the growth of our gardens?
Well, anything that's in the ground, like spuds and stuff, that's down under the ground didn't get hurt at all. The ground's warm enough that nothing got hurt there. It was just anything that was above the ground that got it. And it did get cold on Saturday night, and it did freeze hard.
Oh, boy.
So if there was no cover on tomatoes, I keep telling people, get prepared. If you're going to plant, get some cover on them. Make sure you've got, something to... If the wind on Friday night didn't get them, then the frost got them on Saturday. So... unfortunately, if they had a bunch of stuff planted and they didn't have some good cover on them, they probably lost them.
Well, now I'm going to show some obvious stupidity here or lack of gardening sense. Is it too late to replant them, or with the cold weather for this week, and they're calling for temperatures on Wednesday, highs of only in the 40s? I mean, what are you going to do?
Like I said, if you've lost them, I would not get too carried. I mean, it's not too late to plant at all, but don't plant this week. Give it a time to warm up. Towards the end of the week, we're supposed to be back up into the 60s and the 40s at night. So wait and get them in at that point in time. Don't try to get them back in this, right off the bat this week, because you'll lose them again. And they'll chill during the day. They just won't do well. So. My suggestion is to just pick, get your plants and hold on to them, and take care of them, in the house or whatever, or just wait and pick them up on about Thursday after that cold spell and get them in over the weekend, because it is definitely going to be a cold one this week. We're not going to have very, very good temperatures for especially peppers and that type of thing, cucumbers and anything like that. They will not do well out in that cold.
Well, let me ask you this, Vicki. You've been in this business for over 20 years. And honestly, in that interim of time, have you seen a more chilly, cold, cloudy, rainy, snowy spring than we've had this year?
Well, we've had them at different times. You can always count on Memorial Day. I can remember a few years back on Memorial Day that people they went camping because it's the big camping weekend, and they got snowed in up in the South Hills.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
So we've had this before. It's just a roll of the dice. I mean, we get into these cycles, and it'll finally straighten out. But hopefully, it's getting it out of its system to where, I mean, like I say, if you had. If the spuds were planted and you had seeds in the ground, they're not going to be damaged at all. They'll be fine. They'll go ahead and come up when the temperature warms the ground up again. So they'll be fine. It's just the simple fact that anything that was growing and that was up and above the ground, I'm sure some spuds got knocked back if they had them in early and had them up. Don't know that it would have killed them, but it would have definitely knocked them back and possibly knocked the set off of them. But other than that, they'll probably rebound.
Well, I know I talked to my son-in-law yesterday, and Nick told me, he said that cold really did a lot of damage.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. We've got we've got a letter writer with a question. This came in, they wrote it evidently and sent it the same day as our program last Monday. And this caller said, what are the best bushes to plant and grow for windbreaks?
Well, for windbreaks, if you want a solid year-round windbreak, you're going to have to go in with an evergreen like spruce trees, arborvitaes, something that's going to have the foliage year-round. Evergreens, the spruce trees make a nice, big, solid windbreak. They're just slow growing. So usually people will plant some evergreens, plant the spruce trees, and then come in ahead of them with deciduous trees, that'll lose its leaves, like lilacs or something like that, some type of a bush to fill in between until the bigger, the big evergreens get filled in. But you can also come in with, depending on how high of a windbreak you want, there's quite a few. You can use a row of lilacs, snowball bushes, things of that nature will work as a windbreak. There are some different privets and some different things like that that'll come up and they they're multi-stemmed, so they're gonna fill in a nice gap, and they're gonna fill in fairly fast. So I mean, it kind of just depends on how fast you want a windbreak and how dense of a windbreak you want, because with deciduous, you're going to have twigs up there that will slow the wind down but not stop it.
Yeah.
The evergreens will stop the wind.
Absolutely. I don't know if this note came in to me prior to the cold snap or not, because it was in the pile of letters that we had for questions for you. But the person writes in, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase everything. My garden is not growing like it has in the past. Do I need to, and here's the key word in the letter, dump on more fertilizer?
I would not worry about if you've had a good garden in the past and you've got fertilizer down. It has to get warm to get fertilizer to release. Also, a lot of your fertilizers do not release until the ground temperatures and that are up. So I wouldn't get too concerned. Give that garden a chance to get more than 1 or 2 days of 70, 80 degree weather. It's this temperature fluctuation that is stopping everything from wanting to grow.
Okay. Now, this letter was sent to me and my lovely bride, Deanne, and this person said, we drive by your place all the time and notice that you don't have any dandelions. What do you do? Well, we spray and we take very good care of our lawn, but what would most people do to get rid of those hated dandelions?
The dandelions are one that you can, if you start with the weed-free zone, it's a Fertilome product that we carry. It's a 2,4-D base, but it has 2 or 3 other ingredients in it that will help with all that. But you can use it early in the spring on days like Wednesday at 48 degrees.
Yeah.
You can start spraying early in the spring and go late in the fall, and it will take care of those dandelions. You can spray all summer with it. It kills them quick, it stops them fast, and takes care of chickweed and some of your other little, like clover or anything like that you've got in your lawn. It will kill all broadleaf.
Okay.
But it's a very good product to use. For the simple fact, late in the fall, you can take and spray your lawn with the weed-free zone and kill all of the existing dandelions that are in there that you might not be seeing, but they're there. And the root is there, and they're going to be bigger and stronger in the spring. So kill them in the fall, and then you won't have that big bunch coming up first thing in the spring.
Okay. Now, this next letter was kind of comical. It came, I understand that we've got some people that moved in here from back in Pennsylvania, and they've been living in the city, in the Pittsburgh area, and they moved out here, and they said, we want to plant a garden, but we hear you on the air talking to Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden, and she's saying this, that, and other about soil additives and everything, and she said, I always thought dirt was just dirt. It's all the same, isn't it? How would you respond to that?
Well, no, it's not. Unfortunately, you have different areas of place. We live in a high desert area, which is an alkali area, and that's a very hard soil to work with. The Boise area, they don't have it. Different areas have different types of dirt. Just like you have your mountain soils, everything has a different pH level. and in different areas, that's what you have. And so that's why you have to know what your soil is like in the area that you're working with, and then have to amend the soil to make it produce like the soil does possibly in Oregon, Washington, maybe, in some of these other places that have a completely different type of soil, a lower pH. They have a lot more humus in it. They have a lot more of the natural organisms, like from the forests and that kind of stuff, where they have a lot more shrubbery and trees that break down and put a lot more organic matter down in the soil.
Okay.
We have to add that here because we don't have all of that.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you, how did Mother's Day weekend go? I know that you had all kinds of rose bushes and everything else. How did it go?
We had a very good Mother's Day, even with the cold. Even when that horrendous wind hit about 4 o'clock on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
We still had people shopping, and I'm like, really? You couldn't even stand up, and you were eating more dirt than anything, but hey, they kept on a shopping, and we had a very good Mother's Day. We're basically pretty much almost completely out of baskets. Still got a few, not a lot. We do have a few. And we're back ready for this next week, and we're still going. So the greenhouses held through the wind, which I didn't know if they were, but they did, and we're still up and running. Just got a brand new shipment of beautiful perennials in. So if you are doing some landscaping and need to add some fancy color and some things in there, we got some really cool stuff.
Hey, when you say that, Vicki, you got a whole bunch of perennials in and everything. You must have to spend a lot of time on the telephone calling where to get all these things delivered. I mean, where's the hot spot to bring those things in here to southern Idaho?
Well, I bring this load came from Washington, from up in Walla Walla.
Wow.
I have on Fridays. I usually have deliveries that come in out of Utah, from a perennial grower down there, and I just keep bringing in as they become available and have all the new color and all the new varieties. I just keep bringing them in, so everybody can see the new stuff and the fancy stuff. This order here has a lot of stuff for shade areas, a lot of pretty hostas and all kinds of things to go into shade areas. So if anybody's got a problem area, come in and see us. I think we've probably got something now that we can solve their problem with.
Okay, and I would imagine that the Vicky's gardening tip for this week is wear a parka outside.
Yeah, keep your coat handy. You're going to need it. Don't leave the long johns too far away.
Oh my goodness! What do you got really special this week going up to past this next weekend into Memorial Day? What do you want people to remember?
Well, we've still got a very good selection of vegetables and that type of thing for your gardens. We've got new shipments of stuff coming in. We're still planting and transplanting tomatoes, so we've got a good supply of tomatoes coming up. Got all of the bark and rock and everything that you're going to need to do your landscaping with. So we got trees, shrubs, a whole nice new supply of those in also. So come and see us. We'll help you with your garden, your yard, your landscaping. We got some nice yard art. We got the whole 9 yards.
I tell you, I enjoy you, Vicki. You are excellent. Vicki at Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 west of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. And don't unhook the dog sled. You might need it to get to work one of these mornings.
That's for sure. They're predicting snow for Wednesday
I know.
somewhere. They said they don't think it'll stick. I said, well, that's a good thought.
Okay. Hey, God bless you, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, Zeb, thanks.
Thank you. Vicki at Vicky's Country Garden. I just really, if you ever want to visit with somebody and just sit down and have a lot of laughs and just feel very comfortable, she's the lady right there. I enjoy her. Thank you, Vicki. Appreciate it a lot. Oh, my goodness sakes, let's not forget our friends at Let's Ride. Boom, boom, boom. Start up those four-wheelers, those side-by-sides. Head up into the hills. Get away from the yapping crowds. Oh, my goodness sakes, they've got it all for you at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And they've got got all the accessories to all the clothing to wear up in the hills. I mean, hey, these guys and gals over at Let's Ride really know their stuff. Nick, Randy, the whole crew at Let's Ride. This is where the fun is sold. And they've got a great accessory department, super service department. Oh, my goodness, it's all at Let's Ride. Stop over and see them this week at 270 Highway 24. Like I said, between with a W, between Rupert and the world, where the fun is sold. By the way, if you're over in that neck of the woods, don't forget to, hello, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, number to remember, number to write down. Don't forget to do this because it's very important. 436-4424. They can help you with all your life insurance needs, your health insurance needs, your retirement planning, your employee benefits. Hey, don't put that on the back burner. You take care of it today. Call them for an appointment. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. They are dedicated and responsive and devoted to doing what you need to cover yourself, your family, and your business. Okay. Let's go to the phone line right now and say good morning to Craig Richardson, the president of the Energy and Environmental Legal Institute. He's been on our program many times in the past. Good morning, Craig. How are you?
Good, Zeb. How have you been?
Well, we are looking at a very cold spring, and there is an opportunity on Wednesday, and to all those global warming kooks out there, we might have snow on Wednesday. So how is your day going?
Well, it's funny because we have that same boiling earth as you do out there. We've had, in Virginia, we've had temperatures in the 40s and 50s, and it's been raining for about 3 weeks.
Yeah. Hey,
I wish that we would get some of that global warming.
You know something, Craig? Let me ask you something. Have you ever, I'm off point here a little bit on our discussion this morning, but I'm sure you've probably talked about this. But these climate change nitwits and the global warming crowd, etc., have you ever sat down and asked them one very simple question? What do they want? What do they think is absolutely ideal for temperature that they would like to have their hand on the thermostat over and above God and control it for everybody? They don't have an answer for that.
Well, because that's not what the game is in the end. I mean, there is no answer to that other than, they range from extremities or extremities, whatever the term is. You essentially you get a good chunk of them who say keep it in the ground, keep everything in the ground. This is why we saw Obama last week was flying around and racking up carbon footprints all over the place between his jets and his limos and to give a climate change speech and how we need to save the world. So there is no answer, Zeb. It's not logical. It's essentially an extremist movement that's just trying to control everything at a central level, and then there's a bunch of isms in there, from socialism to communism and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's just bad all around.
Craig, with your being the president of the Energy and Environmental Legal Institute, you probably see, hear, and get more stories across your desk than anybody else. But this movement that is being funded almost single-handedly by Tom Steyer and multi-millions of dollars, it isn't going to go away anytime soon, is it?
It's actually getting more and more overwhelming, quite honestly. And Steyer, in some ways, is kind of the public face on the political side of this. And you're right, he's put in $174 million between two election cycles on campaigns alone.
Wow.
But the real shift under this, and then you've got other guys behind that are similar to him who are less visible. The Rockefeller octopus itself, which never really has a face anymore, hasn't since J.D., the old man, or the grandfather. And then you got George Soros. But the alarming trends we're seeing, Zeb, are in the corporate world. People that you would think would be your allies in this fight go that way as well. And that's the biggest concern I have.
Well, no, when you say the corporate world, I mean, how are they being cowed or swayed to jump on the climate change or the environmental bandwagon? Really, we've seen so many stories that have been absolute falsehoods, absolute lies. You would think the corporate world would say, hey, listen, in order to free us up, you've got to give us more of a free rein. Why would they be joining Tom Steyer's and others?
Well, I think you can look at any industry in America, and I think, to me, one of the alarming trends recently has been the consolidation of corporations to, what do we got, 2 or 3 airlines left, about 3 banks. Even the mom-and-pop restaurants now are being run out of town, and, they're like Darden Restaurant owns a lot of them, and then they have different product names. So it's an alarming trend generally, and the ones that are getting squeezed out tend to be the entrepreneurs, the small business owners. But to answer your question, why are the large corporations doing it, like ExxonMobil? It's essentially because regulation is a barrier to entry of anybody who would come in and compete against them. They can afford these ridiculous renewable energy types of things like wind and solar. First of all, they know it's never going to happen because you can't run. California wants to run this entire grid on energy and solar, and I'm sorry, but LA will never be 100% on wind and solar. The place would be not just a brownout, but a blackout. They know that in the end, but in the process, they're going to be driving up the cost of electricity so far that they're going to be the only ones that are going to be able to afford to do it.
Yeah.
And as a result, and we've seen this in other industries, the competitors who aren't able to keep up are going to get gobbled up by those guys, and they're only going to get bigger.
Craig, let me ask you this question, and I'm not even sure how to phrase it, but are we as a country and we as a culture, are we so dumbed down that when you get below the age of, let's say, 55 in this country, or maybe even 50, that because of education and because of a leftist viewpoint, we've lost our common sense?
Well, I think that's part of the overall, quote, plan. The Rockefellers themselves have been knee-deep in public education for 60 years or something. It's why they're not teaching history. So there's clearly that element of it, but there are alternatives out there. I know Montana's got a lot of homeschooling. We have a lot of it here in Virginia. My kids I put through Catholic school for that very reason. So you have to pick and choose now, and it tends to be more expensive or more time-consuming in the case of homeschooling, but there's a lot of people out there that get what's going on. They may not know all the ins and outs, but they know that what's being taught at public schools is not really an education anymore. It's really an indoctrination. So we have a fighting chance. But yeah, no, it's certainly going on out there, and that's the dividing line right now. You just look at last election. We are divided right down the middle.
Let me ask you, if you go to a kind of a get-together, one of those deals where you have to have your little fingers sticking up in the air every time you take a drink, and you're standing there in your tuxedo or whatever, and people come up to you and say, hi, what's your name and what do you do? Do they kind of look at you out of the corner of your eye when you tell them you're the president of the Energy and Environmental Legal Institute?
Well, it certainly doesn't go over well at my family reunions. All my family's from New England and the Boston area, and God bless them. They certainly don't think the same way I do. And certainly there are times when I don't want to get into it necessarily with people I meet because, as the old expression goes, they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And I could sit there and spend 3 days trying to educate them that 97% of the scientists don't agree that climate change is real. Scientists never unanimously agree anything. If they did, we'd still be in a flat Earth situation. But it is that way, and my kids see it too when they are involved with kids who are in public schools and other things. And you can't. You got to have a whole dictionary of things you can and cannot say in front of certain people anymore. And microaggressions, and they even have terms for it. So it's a battle lines out there.
I'll bet it is.
As much in your area, but I'm sure there are cities, and places you go where you see it.
Oh, absolutely. We have a caller with a question for you, and you're on the air, caller. Go ahead quickly.
Well, you know how the environmentalists talk about sustainability, and it's really laughable because wind and solar could never. I mean, it's less than 1% of the total production, and at this rate, it'll never cut it. And at the rate that these windmills are breaking down across America, they're not worth fixing. They'll never catch up. And so when it comes right down to it, there is no sustainability in what they believe, but they're the ones who are always talking about it. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Craig.
Yeah, he's absolutely right, and you're seeing more and more pictures of these windmill graveyards that come along with these rusty old things that are sitting there destroying the views of beautiful places where I know, and I'm sure you do too. They really never, I mean, that in itself of getting them all in there was a boondoggle for the local wind people who paid off a lot of local politicians to put those ugly things up in the first place. But, as I said before, this whole thing isn't about trying to get the whole country to go to renewable energy. It's about, in the short term, getting a bunch of federal and state contracts to push up an industry that wouldn't survive otherwise, and people are making a ton of money on that in the short term. And in the long run, it's a consolidation game of the big corporations that are in energy right now that are sitting there that are trying to look what they did to the coal industry. They rolled them all the way up. That industry lost 93% of its value in 5 years. Obama went saying he was going to bankrupt them, and that's what he did. And it doesn't mean that they don't exist. Coal is still 33% of the current electric grid in America. So somebody's doing something, but it's not the coal guys. So that's their vision. Their vision is that they're going to have these multinational, huge corporations along with they're fully in bed with the federal government and the state governments, and they're going to try to control energy, and they're going to be able to turn it on and off at will, and the consumers are the ones that are going to be beholden to that system.
Let me ask you, Craig, as far as the Trump administration, if he adheres to what he told us he would do during the campaign, comparing Trump to the environmental movement and the Tom Steyers and all the big money people that are contributing to the environmental movement, do they look at the Trump administration for at least 4 years as just a small bump in the road and then they're going to get their way again? Give me an explanation on that.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, that's what we had hoped, that at a minimum it would be 4 years. Now we're wondering if it's, they've already have huge chinks in the armor, starting with his daughter and son-in-law. They are 100% behind this climate change movement. This whole thing with Paris should be alarm bells to everybody. That should have been a slam dunk. He promised that in the way that George Bush said, read my lips, no new taxes.
Right.
And we are in a monumental dogfight right now as to getting him to keep his campaign promise. I know that he wants to do it. That's where his sentiment is. He called climate change a hoax during the campaign. I know Steve Bannon is 100% behind keeping his campaign promise, but you have his daughter and son-in-law and Rex Tillerson, the former CEO of ExxonMobil, who's now the State Department Secretary. You've got a lot of powerful forces aligned against him, and you even have people in traditional pro-energy people in Washington that are going the way the lines of Paris. So I wouldn't even say we have 4 years of that. I'd say we're in it right now.
If you were at Las Vegas and going to put odds on this, which way do you think Trump is going to go? Is he going to maintain to his promises, or is he going to kowtow to his daughter and family members and others and basically sell us out on energy and the Paris Climate Accord?
Yeah, I'd say it's about 50-50 now. I think, on particular issues, he's done well, right? We've got a few of these EOs come along. He's opened up the pipelines, et cetera. But on the big-ticket items like Paris, my fear is that the longer it goes, the longer the powers of evil against it are going to align themselves. And when we're talking about Paris, we are talking about a $1.5 trillion annual industry. That is the climate change industry, the $1.5 trillion industry when you add up all of the governments that are involved, all the corporations that are involved, all the subsidies that are out there. And you're talking about a lot of countries that are involved and want it done. And not only do they want it done, but they want the United States to pay for the party. And then he's got all this international diplomatic issues. He's going to the summit in a few weeks. So there's a lot of forces, a lot of powerful forces, not maybe the strongest of which is his own daughter, can kind of rub his arm and say, hey, Daddy, can you help me out here? So, yeah, I'd say 50-50, but quite honestly, the longer it goes, the more worried I get.
The list of donors and the amount of money that is changing hands to the environmental pockets, it's unbelievable. Explain that to us a little bit.
What was that? Explain what I didn't...
I said the list of donors and the absolutely outstanding amount of money. I mean, $37 million from one, $43 million from another, $87 million to another. I mean, people don't realize how much money is changing pockets in support of the environmental movement, do they?
No, and I was reading the Steyer report that shows he's now the number one donor and has been in the last 2 years in the political cycle. And even in this Open Secrets report, they tend to be fairly left of center, but I like what they do. They put out the money reports and who's getting what. But even their spin on it isn't accurate. They say, well, environmentalists traditionally haven't been that big into politics because, they've had modest budgets. And I'm thinking that, the NRDC is a $100 million a year operation. That's not, I would die to have about a tenth of that or a hundredth of that. I mean, that's not a modest budget. So that's kind of part of the narrative that's played up around the environmentalists is that somehow they're sort of the poor guys, and that's not true. But, I think, I've used this example before. You go back to Al Gore. Al Gore, the day he lost the election, was worth $1 million. So he sort of goes into hiding and decides what he's going to do, and then he comes out as this green energy trader, basically. He set up a hedge fund over in London in this new green. This is around 2004, and then and then when Obama came in, when the first 18 months of the Obama administration, Gore suddenly had lined up $11 billion or something for 7 of his clients. And that's where a lot of that money went in the last 10 years. And that's when the callers talked about the windmills, dying on the vine out in the field. Well, that's where a lot of that money went.
Right.
And people like Al Gore and Tom Steyer, they get that money, they secure that money by getting either through their own current political contacts or by getting people actually elected to office. And that's how this dirty game works.
I remember, and I've got to wrap this segment up, but I remember vividly our conversations in the past, especially those prior to November and the election. And you were very, very optimistic. And now this morning, and I agree with you, I really tempered my remarks because of what the daughter has said, the son-in-law, etc. I'm a little bit more than concerned that Trump might turn tail on what he promised us last campaign.
Yeah, there's no question that those forces are there and they're real. And I think he's got a lot of battles that he's fighting. I mean, he's got the thing with Comey last week that came out, and the Republicans are starting to say that this is going to have long-term effects. So I think he may have. This may not have been all that he thought he was going to be cracked up to be. I think he kind of thought he was going to go in there like he's done in his previous world, and and he still is the most important guy in the room, right? But there's a lot of things and a lot of forces at play here that make what he did in his previous careers pale in comparison. This is a big deal in terms of being president of the United States, and when he takes on these issues like Paris, as I said, there are a lot of forces that are very powerful that are lining up against them.
Absolutely. The president of the Energy and Environmental Legal Institute, Craig Richardson. God bless you, man. Come back soon. Thank you for all your insight this morning.
Will do, Zeb. God bless you, too, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you very much. Always enjoy having him on the program this morning. I am. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm very concerned about a kind of a turncoat attitude of Trump on various issues. And I, for one, will absolutely hold him accountable if he changes from what he has told us he's going to do versus the pressure that he's feeling right now to do. We've got to have a weather forecast here right now. And the weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company CPAs. We started going to them about 2 years ago, and absolutely the best, the most thorough. They really care, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The very best of tax return preparation, tax planning, and financial statement preparation, retirement planning. All you have to do is call, make an appointment, and learn. Listen and learn. They can help you. They've got 2 locations in Burley and Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Today and for the rest of the week, not going to be as nice as we would like it to be, but it is May and springtime here in southern Idaho. Here's the weather forecast for today. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side, winds out of the west, right around 11 miles an hour. Cloudy skies, high of 63 with an overnight low of 39. Tomorrow, winds picking up to about 16 miles an hour out of the southwest. Expecting rain showers, possible thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon, high of 61 with an overnight low of 36. Still going to be windy for Wednesday out of the west, right around 25 miles an hour. Looking at a 60% chance of rain showers throughout the day, high of 45 with an overnight low of 36. And then morning rain showers for Thursday with a high of 57. That is your weather for Zev at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And currently the temperature outside 48 degrees. Right now, let's also remind you our weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with locations at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The very best serving you, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, CPAs. Oh, my goodness, time for you to give me a call and be a part of the program. So give us a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. I would love to hear from you, so give me a jingle. You know, we got another story here this morning of schools that are spineless. And principals and school boards that are spineless. And back in Burlington? Yeah, Burlington, Vermont. The school board voted unanimously in February to drop the nickname and the mascot of their school because it might cause discomfort to some students. This mascot has been at the school, and the title has been at the school for years and years and years. You know what it is? It is the South Burlington Rebels. Rebels. I mean, I know all kinds of schools across the nation that have termed their mascot the Rebels. Well, now the principal says, it's crystal clear to him that the nickname is interfering with all the students' ability to feel safe and included in the school. What? Come on, audience. Come on, parents. Are you serious? Here's the superintendent, David Young. And he said because they have the nickname the Rebels, it is completely clear to him, crystal clear to him, that nickname is interfering with all the students' ability to feel safe and included in the schools. It's got to go. It's offensive. Pretty soon, what are they all going to be called? The West or South Burlington Butterflies? Or the South Burlington Hummingbirds. I mean, this is insane. We're trying to sanitize and clean up everything that's going on in our society, according to them. And it's also funny that the principal, working underneath the superintendent, his name is Patrick Burke, and he is the Burlington High School in Vermont principal. And he said it's absolutely nuts. He didn't think the Rebel name is racist or bad. And so he's probably going to take a long leave of absence, and they're probably going to get rid of him. And they're going to have a vote to change the name. What are your thoughts? The term, the Burlington Rebels. I mean, come on, audience. Really? Really? Is that going to create all kinds of problems? Is it a reflection back to the Confederacy, back in the Civil War? And by the way, I think it's absolutely wrong that monuments to General Robert E. Lee and other leaders of the South are being taken down, hidden, or put in storage rooms, or quite frankly, even being destroyed. I think it's wrong. It's a part of the American heritage. Whether you live in the South, whether you live in the North, you can't take a big eraser and just erase history. And in certain parts of the South right now, especially in New Orleans and other places, they are taking down, as if it never happened, as if those people never existed, statues of Robert E. Lee, sitting on his horse called Traveler, very famous. It's wrong. It's wrong, and it's against, I think, the people in the South and their heritage. Whether you agree with it or not, I think it's absolutely wrong that we are whitewashing, destroying, and burying the truth about our country. Your thoughts, give me a call. And now here's a high school in Vermont that now they are going to have to change the name because a couple of people have said, oh no, it's interfering with the students, all students' ability to feel safe and included in our schools because we have the nickname Rebels. It's insane. All right, your calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Next hour, we've got with the Pacific Legal Foundation, Mark Miller, attorney. And then at 10:30, we're going to talk to Rachel Alexander. We got a lot of people coming up. Want to remind you, too, once again, on Memorial Day weekend, on May 27th, the great big third annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride, sponsored by the Rupert Veterans Memorial, the Combat Veterans Memorial Motorcycle Association, and the City of Rupert. And all the bikers are going to leave Let's Ride in Rupert at 9:30 in the morning for a ride to support the fallen soldiers. And after that ride, everybody's going to meet at the Idaho Roll Call Monument at 7th and Scott in Rupert for the memorial program. So don't miss that. For more information, get a hold of my dear, dear friend, George Mass. Hello, George, 650-0104. And I think, let me take a look here. Tomorrow at 10:30, George, along with Kelly Anthon, they're going to be here in the studio, and they're going to be talking about this, and that's going to be at 10:30 tomorrow morning. Right now, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to listen to the big boys from CBS. Oh, one other note, Doug Martin. Doug Martin had surgery last week, and we wish him the very best. I know he's home recuperating, and we want to wish him the very, very best. A faithful listener and a good friend, Doug Martin. God bless you, man. Hope you're up and about in no time at all. Let's turn it back over to Wheels right now. We're going to have this little bit of music, bumper music, until we go to the news from CBS, and then we'll be back in about 7 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. You stay tuned. All righty, here we go, flying right into hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you and me, everybody, and along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. We'll go to our guest in just a moment, but stand by. I want to remind you, too, about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, number to remember, 436-3200. And they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place for your loved ones. It's the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cache area, and they welcome the public to go by and inquire about the facility, take tours, etc. They say, come on in, we welcome you. Call 436-3200. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and we have another great representative of the Pacific Legal Foundation. We say good morning to Mark Miller. Mark, good morning, sir. How are you?
Zeb, thanks for having me on. I'm doing great.
I really enjoy you folks with the Pacific Legal Foundation coming on and talking about various stories, and it looks like, according to some of the information that I have, that Donald Trump in his presidency may be filling a lot more than one seat on the Supreme Court. Kind of give us a basic of our story this morning.
Well, certainly what you're alluding to there are the rumors that perhaps Justice Kennedy is the Justice du jour, may retire this summer, and certainly that's possible. I will say, though, regardless of whether Justice Kennedy or anyone else were to move on from the High Court, that President Trump has done a fantastic job with his nominations, not only of Justice Gorsuch, of course, for Justice Scalia's seat, but even in the lower courts. And he's really delivering much more than he even promised to deliver to conservatives like yourself and me.
I have my reservations when you say that, Mark, because I just finished a segment last half hour with a little bit of a twist as to what Trump is, what he promised on the campaign trail versus what he might do now with some of the arm twisting from his daughter and son-in-law. But all that being as it said, Kennedy, Ginsburg, and others, Donald Trump could absolutely make the liberal left jump off a cliff with some more appointments, could he not?
Yes. I would think that, as you said, the liberal left will not be happy with his appointments. Speaking for myself, I was a little skeptical. As you're saying, you're skeptical of some of the things he's doing now with his family advisors. I was skeptical before he was elected that he would follow through on this promise to appoint conservative justices like Justice Scalia. But he is certainly delivering, and if he continues to deliver, then I think you would see the court really just stay, to me, is follow on a path of the law that recognizes that the justices of the Supreme Court are not supposed to be writing the law. They're supposed to be interpreting the law that Congress passes. And if we don't like the laws they pass, we can then vote the congressmen and the senators out of office, and of course vote the president out of office when he signs laws we don't like. But the justices themselves, too often have decided to make law themselves and be some sort of super legislature, and that's really not their role. That's not what the Founding Fathers envisioned, and President Trump seems to understand that.
Let me ask you this, Mark, and you know a lot about this, a lot more than I'll ever know. But when a name comes up, let's go back to Scalia. When Justice Scalia passed away and there was an open seat on the Supreme Court, how do they, the powers that be, go about defining who is qualified to be a possible nominee?
That is an excellent question, Deb, and I can give you a concrete example of what President Trump did, and then we can just speak more generally. What candidate Trump did, in fact, was he brought in a couple of key advisors. Leonard Leo of the Federalist Society. The Federalist Society was founded in the early 80s to influence the law to follow what our founding fathers would have wanted, to interpret the law the way it's written, not to just have judges put their preferences into the law. So the Federalist Society brought together people who think alike to fight what was then a very progressive agenda that you would see in the law schools, the law academy, and then in the practice of law. And what it turned out, what these lawyers in the early 80s found out, who were more conservative and closer to what the Founding Fathers believed, what they found out was there was a lot of them, that even though they kind of were hunkered down when they created this network through the Federalist Society, they realized a lot of people felt the same way they did. They just didn't have connections. Federalist Society has become a seriously influential organization that is simply designed to make sure the courts and our law follows the path that our founding fathers believed in. So what candidate Trump did was he brought in Leonard Leo of the Federalist Society and said, give me some judges who you think would do a good job filling in for Justice Scalia.
Right.
He also brought in the Heritage Foundation. Ed Meese, the former Attorney General of President Reagan, gave some advice along with everyone else at the Heritage Foundation, and they developed a list of two lists of what ended up being 21 potential nominees to take Justice Scalia's place. 20 of them were judges. One of them was a senator. And from that list, President Trump, when he was elected, selected Neil Gorsuch. He was actually on the secondary list of names that were floated. But the list reflects, I've investigated every one of them, judges who honor the law, respect the law, understand the separation of powers, and don't see themselves as some sort of super legislature inventing the law as they go along.
Now, will they being the powers that be and Donald Trump, do they keep like the last list? And like you said, Justice Kennedy may retire. We may be looking at Ginsburg, etc., and then go over and peruse those names again, or do they keep adding new names? I mean, what's the circumstance there?
Well, one thing about candidate Trump and now President Trump's list that was so meaningful, and the reason it was precedential was it was unprecedented. No one had ever really done something like that. And I know when I talk to people who voted for Trump, who would tell you that candidate Trump was not their first pick on the Republican side, but they ended up voting for him because of that list. And so what Trump is doing so far is when he's nominating judges for the higher court, the appeals courts, which is one step below the U.S. Supreme Court, but these courts are very influential. He's generally picking judges that he had discussed for the Supreme Court. He's elevating them from, say, the trial court level to the appeals court level. And then he's occasionally finding other judges as well that would fit the sort of paradigm of that list. That these are judges who are going to follow the law, not make the law. And so I would expect, and I believe he's even gone so far as to at least suggest it, that he intends to follow that list. Maybe he'll expand it a little bit, but he intends to follow the path that he created with that list. And why not? You know, pretty much, if you talk to any dyed-in-the-wool conservative, they're going to tell you that there's been no greater return from President Trump than the nomination and the now appointment and confirmation of Justice Gorsuch.
Mark, let me ask you this, and I don't want to get off the rails of where we're supposed to be talking about this morning, but I feel very fortunate to have your expertise on the program. The Constitution. I am very, very concerned, and maybe you can alleviate my fears, but I've got probably about 6 or 7 copies of the Constitution here, one of which is on my desk. It's all dog-eared and highlighted, and there's marks in the margin, etc. But there are those right now that are talking consistently on the left that our Constitution is a living document and needs to be upgraded or changed with the times. Right away, I'm running a flag up the pole that says, don't you dare touch my Constitution. What do you think's going to happen with these liberal leftists that want to keep changing everything?
Well, as long as the country elects people who believe that the Constitution is not a living document, that it's a piece of paper that is designed to run what is the greatest country in the world and has done a fantastic job of setting the course for us, we're going to be in good shape. That was the beauty of electing someone who truly believes in the Constitution, in following it, just in the way you described. President Trump, this list of 21 potential justices that he listed, every one of them would reject the living Constitution idea, and the advisors that President Trump is relying upon, not his daughter and not his son-in-law, they may be very good at what they do, but they don't know much about the law. The advisors as to the law and as to potential judges and justices that Trump is relying upon, they reject the living Constitution idea, which is a sort of a outgrowth of the Woodrow Wilson school of thought that created so much trouble, and certainly the Roosevelt school of thought that we're still reaping the consequences of. But the justices and the judges that Trump is looking at don't subscribe to that theory. And really, the court, other than back in the 60s and in the 70s, has not followed that path for the most part, with, of course, outliers, as you know. But the judges we're looking at, whether it's Chief Justice Roberts, Sam Alito, now Justice Gorsuch, these are judges who reject the living Constitution idea, and I think we'll see more of them from President Trump if he does get the opportunity to appoint more justices.
You know, Donald Trump has come out, and quite frankly, I live within the realms and wishes and demands of the Ninth Circuit Court. I would love to see what was intimated a week or so ago, that Donald Trump would like to see the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals broken in half. What are your thoughts about that?
That idea has been discussed before, and it certainly is being seriously discussed now. It's down in my neck of the woods, Zeb. It did happen. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals used to include all the states along the southeast coast from Texas to Florida. And so back in 1980, this Senate and Congress approved, and the President approved, breaking it into the Fifth Circuit, which is Texas and Louisiana, and Mississippi, and then separating out the 11th Circuit, which is Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. So there is precedent for it. It's not like the Constitution demands there has to be a certain number of circuits. The reason you don't want the Ninth Circuit, we all know. It's by far the most liberal circuit, although the Fourth Circuit, which is the Mid-Atlantic, Virginia area, is certainly catching up, in North Carolina as well. The Fourth Circuit for that area has become much more liberal under President Obama's appointments. But certainly President Trump believes the Ninth Circuit should be broken up. And it would be interesting to see if he can pull it off, because I don't think most of America pays attention to that. And so if the President wants that to happen, I think it could happen. And it could be good for the West if that were to happen, because California then could have the laws it wants, and then the states that I would suggest are perhaps a bit more reasonable could have the Constitution that you and I believe in.
Absolutely.
The Founding Fathers wrote.
Absolutely. Very well stated. Now, you also have a attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation, and his name is Damian Schiff. I've had him on the program many, many times. I understand he was nominated for a very high post. Tell us about that.
Yes, so my colleague Damian Schiff, who has argued and won at the Supreme Court of the United States in a case called Sackett, I'm sure he's talked about that with you, he was nominated by President Trump for a position on the United States Court of Federal Claims in D.C. It would be a very important appointment, and it reflects that President Trump knows what he's doing, that his advisors are really picking scholars of the law who believe in the rule of law, who understand the separation of powers, the kind of judges that you and I would want. And those judges, when they're appointed to the lower courts, like Damian would be appointed here, may one day then get appointed to the higher courts and then perhaps even the Supreme Court. And that's why it's so important. That's why the presidency is so important. And that's why when people voted in November, they really were looking closely at filling Scalia's seat, because if we had President Hillary Clinton, I can tell you this much, my colleague Damian Schiff would not be a nominee to the U.S. Court of Federal Claims.
Let me ask you a little bit about the cases that you take, Mark. I mean, I've had many of your folks on my program, and I thank Colin Callahan for all of his help. But how do you, on behalf of the Pacific Legal Foundation, how do you take a certain case and really jump in like a pit bull and go after people? I mean, what are the discerning factors?
Yeah, Zeb, so as you know, the Pacific Legal Foundation at pacificlegal.org, if you're looking on the internet, is a nonprofit foundation. And so people donate money to us for the last 45 years to take on the best cases suing the government. So we might sue the local government, the state government, the federal government. You know, it goes back to the old saying that you can't fight City Hall, it's too expensive, it's too time-consuming. Well, Pacific Legal, if you have the right case, will fight City Hall for you. And the beauty of Pacific Legal is we often beat City Hall. We've won our last 9 cases in the Supreme Court, for example. So the way we pick cases is we look for basically your everyday Joe Six-Pack, maybe a small businessman, somebody who has been trying to use their property in a way that our founding fathers would have thought was perfectly reasonable. They're either trying to make a living, or maybe they want to build a nice home for their family, but their local government, their state government, perhaps the EPA or the Army Corps of Engineers is not allowing them to do so because of some spurious claim about wetlands that is not really factually true, or some other regulation, oftentimes NIMBY, not in my backyard. Neighbors don't want you to do what you want to do with your property, and they think they have a right to tell you what you can do with your property, and our elected officials then kowtow to them, even though it violates the Constitution. So Pacific Legal comes in when we think someone's constitutional rights are being violated, and we will sue, or we will oftentimes take over on appeal and try and force the government to follow the Constitution. That's really all we want. is a government that follows the Constitution that it professes to believe in.
How do people find out about the Pacific Legal Foundation, Mark? I mean, I was blessed for years now. I've had representatives from your organization on my program. But what about, like you said, the common Joe Sixpack that might have a problem or whatever? Maybe he doesn't know or she doesn't know about Pacific Legal Foundation. How can they be educated that you people are out there as kind of a lifeguard for their rights?
Well, as you know, Zeb, at this point, this series of tools we call the Internet is probably the best way. And I would encourage your listeners to go to pacificlegal.org, and they can read about our cases. They can see a way to donate if they'd like to do that, to support us as we defend local property owners all across the country. I've got cases. I'm here, the managing attorney on the East Coast, so I've got cases from New Jersey over to Michigan, over to even Minnesota, all the way down to Louisiana, and of course here in Florida where I am, I have a number of cases. And we, if you go to pacificlegal.org, you can read about our cases, you can support us, and you can find out more. You can listen to our radio interviews like I'm doing with you right now, our TV. We are oftentimes on Fox News or CNN, C-SPAN. You'll often see us on C-SPAN. When we testify on Capitol Hill. So I would just encourage your listeners to go to our website, and they can find out a lot more about us.
Absolutely. You know, I want to thank you for really defining and laying out some information this morning that we haven't asked or had in the past. Attorney Mark Miller with the Pacific Legal Foundation, thank you very, very much for being on the program, and don't make yourself a stranger and come back soon.
Thank you for having me on, Zeb.
All right, sir. Thank you. Mark Miller with the Pacific Legal Foundation as one of their attorneys, and boy, I've found them to be really some straight shooters, and I enjoy having all their different stories on the air. Excellent attorneys. We've got a moment or two, so give me a call, and I'd like to visit with you about any topic, and the number is 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm still trying to get rid of that doggone cough. I bet you I've gone through 37,000 cough drops in the last week since we were on the air last Thursday. I can't get rid of it. I know a lot of people that are going through. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of a vocal virus or whatever that's going on. A cough that will not go away. It's one of the most frustrating things in the world. You'd be laying there sleeping and all of a sudden have to cough for about 15 minutes, then try to go back to sleep, then cough again. Ay, ay, ay. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Thursdays, we have a segment on our program called Cassia County School Days, and I really want to say thank you to two businesses that have been on the program since its very beginning. And that's A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, and they've got all kinds of spring dresses for the ladies, and you can save 20% off. That's right. And they got all the baby gifts and all the baby furniture, and of course you know that they got all the scrubs, the Cherokee scrubs and the shoes and everything else, all of that for you at a family store, A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And also, caller, I'll be right there. Our thanks go out to the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Life-saving colonoscopies and glaucoma surgery, cataract surgery. Please call and find out how they can save you money on outpatient surgeries. All you have to do is call 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County on Thursdays at 10:10. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, I got something for your cough there. I've tried it. It works for me. It's called Lung Cleanse, and you can go to Alex Jones's website to his store, and he sells it.
Lung Cleanse. I'm writing it down. Alias, God bless you, man. I appreciate the tip. Thank you.
Okay, did you get my public service announcement I sent you?
I'm going to stutter and hem and haw and say I haven't seen it yet. We were gone for the weekend and not near my computer with all my 975,000 emails. I'll go through it, and if I don't have it, I'll let you know tomorrow on the air.
Okay, because, listen to that. You'll love it.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much for your call. All right, caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
We met a long time ago at Les Schwab. I won't tell you my name, but I got a remedy for you to cure your cough, okay, real quick. What's really good for a bad cough is X-Lax, Laxative, and that will take care of it.
It's what? X-Lax?
Just a joke.
I know, but boy, when you said it, my eyes wide open and my ears perked up, and I thought, man, you'd be afraid to cough for sure. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Okay,
God bless you. Thank you. Boy, when he said, I got a cure for your cough, and it's X-Lax, and I thought, whoa, nobody coughs. Oh, what do you got here, Deanne? Is today, May 15th, National Chocolate Chip Day. My wife just handed me this. She is a nut about chocolate. She loves chocolate. Let's see, it's National Chocolate Chip Day. And in 1937, Ruth Graves Wakefield of Whitman, Massachusetts. Oh, I know where that's headed. It's got to be the Whitman chocolates. Must have been curious about what a little bit of chocolate would add to her cookies, and while working at the Toll House Inn, she added cut-up chunks of semi-sweet Nestle chocolate bar to a cookie recipe, and thus the chocolate chip cookie. There you go. Caller, I've got exactly 1 minute. Go ahead, please.
Zeb, there hasn't been much said about school elections. I didn't think. I haven't heard it anyway.
I believe...
I think we need to make some changes, about $15 billion worth of changes in the Cassia County School Board. Thank you.
All right, Bob, I appreciate your call as always. Thank you. Yeah, those elections coming up, and we talked about that last week, and don't forget, follow all the school board elections, and be sure and get out and vote. There you go. We're going to take a little break, and we're going, and I want to say this before I go to the break. We carried some of the information last week on our program about the school board elections, etc., and unless people are going to send me information or unless people are going to advertise about their running for a certain post or position, I'm not going to be able to provide a lot of time on all that, but I'll try to cover it as much as I can. I want to say that right up front. We're going to take a break for about 3 or 4 minutes, and we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back with Rachel Alexander coming up in just a few.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much, and welcome back as we're in the last half hour of Zeb at the Ranch. And before we go to our guest, I want to remind you, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. They are offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems, and you'd better call and find out all about it today. That's right, call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. Also want to say thank you very much to Ag Express. They're looking for drivers. That's right. Call Dale and Paul at 438-8886, Allen in Twin Falls at 731-2495, and Russ in Burley at 431-7175. They're looking for drivers. Full and part-time positions are available. And retired folks, you better believe it, they're looking for you too, and they'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week. Whatever works best for you. You're home every night. New and maintained equipment, vacation schedules, benefit programs, yeah, you better call. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Right now, let's go to the phone line. And I've been very fortunate to have this lady on the program many times in the past, and we say a good morning to Rachel Alexander down in nice, warm, sunny Arizona. Good morning.
Good morning. I don't know if it's nice. It's getting really hot.
Well, now, surely you knew that before you moved down to the Grand Canyon State, did you not?
Yeah, but back when I was young and free and single and all that, I used to just hang out in the pool all day long and then go work an evening shift at doing tech support. And now that I'm getting a little up there, I don't hang out in the pool all day anymore.
You mean to tell me that Rachel Alexander has grown up and now realized the weather was not all it's trumped up to be?
Yeah, as long as you can afford air conditioning, especially in your car, it's still doable down here because this is conservative territory, just like it is up in Idaho.
Rachel, let me ask you, you must be, as a writer for the Stream and reading all the facts or all the non-facts, the American public, I just think, is being so duped by the left and led by the nose by the left. There are those like the Chuck Schumers and the Tim Kaines and the others that are trying to perpetrate the rumor and the falsity that what Trump did to fire James Comey was against the Constitution. That's farthest thing from the truth. Talk to us about that.
Well, Bill Clinton fired his FBI director. Where was there outrage when Bill Clinton fired his FBI director, if that's the case? And the Constitution doesn't say anything about it. In fact, the only authority is the Congressional Research Service, I think it was, did a study and determined that the president has the authority to fire any of his agency directors for any reason. He doesn't even need to give a reason.
Well, the thing is about the left, and I know you've studied this before you wrote this piece, but I can give you chapter and verse on almost any Democrat, including Hillary Clinton herself, that absolutely despised James Comey after his reopening about the server, etc., with Hillary Clinton, and they wanted his head on a platter. Well, Trump gave Comey's head on a platter, and now they're after Trump. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And, some of us on the right are having a field day with the hypocrisy. You probably saw that Trump tweeted Rosie McDonald in response to a tweet she had done last December saying that Comey should be fired. And Trump tweeted her and goes, "Hey, Rosie, finally something we agree on." So the Democrats just look like they have egg in their face, and they're trying to say that the only reason Trump fired Comey is because he's trying to stop Comey from investigating him and his, alleged ties to Russia. And that's not true because the investigation is still going on at the FBI even after Comey was fired. And we should, remember, too, that Congress is also doing its own investigation of any alleged ties between the Trump campaign and Russia.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk to you about that, too, because there, again, you do a lot of research for the pieces that you write. Would you please tell me how some of these Democrats can get on national television, national talk shows, national news shows, and come out with this balderdash, well, we know that there are extenuating circumstances. Well, we know that there's proof of collusion with Russia and Trump. And then when the moderator, if he's got any backbone, he says, well, what is the proof? And they go, well, we're not ready to release it just yet. Come on, Rachel, these I can't even come up with a name for these people. They don't have any proof of anything.
Well, and the thing is they think if they keep digging and digging and digging and digging and digging, maybe they'll come up with something that looks like proof. Oh, gee, this person happened to talk to a Russian at a cocktail party, therefore that's collusion. Or, this person happened to have an investment in a Russian firm. Oh, that must be collusion. I mean, anything that is like normal, considering related to Russia, they will take and they will exaggerate it and they will say this is evidence of collusion. And that's how the left really operates, They insinuate that you did something wrong, something unethical. And even though you didn't, they just make it sound bad, or they use one of their, even worse, they'll use one of these vague statutes out there. I'm always talking about that book called 3 Felonies a Day. The average American commits 3 felonies a day and doesn't know it because we have so many laws on the books now, and so many of them are so vague. That's how they're, they take down congressmen like Rick Renzi, is they use these vague laws, and, it just sounds bad.
Well, Rachel, do they forget, they being the left, evidently they haven't got the common sense that God gave a goat, but do they forget that the microphone that Obama thought was off not too many years ago when he told everybody that was listening, tell Vladimir I'll have more flexibility after the election? Do they forget statements like that from Obama?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, they rarely ever report things like that, and if they do, they bury it, and don't expect them to bring it up. But, now that you remind me of that, we should start bringing that up every time we talk about this issue, every time we write about this issue. Let's, remind people of that. Writing these articles, for me, is a lot harder than the left writing on this topic, because what the left does is it just takes the cream off the top and does a little attack on right-wingers, and you can go through your articles on CNN, New York Times, all the mainstream stuff, USA Today, take the cream off the top, the typical spin that all the other journalists do, and you can crank out a story really fast. Whereas me, I have to dig to the bottom. I have to dig so hard to find, the statements like what you just said. In fact, when I was writing this article, I didn't even come across that, and I'm glad you reminded me, because the mainstream media will not put that stuff in there.
Let me ask you this. When you talk about this mess with Comey, and there's some really good people waiting in the wings as possible nominees to take over the FBI directorship, my feeling is, and I'd like to hear your feeling, if I were Donald Trump, and I've thought a lot about this over the last 2 weeks, I would absolutely be like a bull in a china shop. I would just say, this is what we're going to do. This is who we're going to nominate. This is how I feel on this. We're going to push this through. Get out of the way. I'm the president. The Republicans are in the House and in the Senate as leadership. Get out of the road or get run over.
I really hope so. There's an article that came out today, Drudge is linking to it, about Ann Coulter, who was the biggest Trump defender during the election process. She says she's kind of worried he's backing down and she might not support him anymore because he's not pushing through on a lot of this stuff. And, he is sort of letting Congress bully him around a little bit. So, I don't know. And again, I'm not real happy with Ann Coulter in recent years. I think she's gotten a little off in some areas, so I don't really necessarily agree with her on everything. But I do find it telling. She already wrote one book defending Trump.
Yeah.
So now that she's backing off, it does make me wonder. I mean, is Trump going to stand up to these, and Ann put it really well. She said these people in Congress who all they care about is their job security and getting reelected.
Yeah.
And that's not what they were sent to Congress to do.
Well, let me ask you this then, and we're off subject a little bit, but there are rumors, and I just had a guest on last half hour, or an hour ago, I should say, and we were talking about Trump's change, possibly on position with the Paris Climate Accord, etc., and global warming and climate change, and due to his daughter and son-in-law believing in the hypocrisy of climate change, Trump might change his stance, and boy, I think he's going to absolutely make his base of support furious if he does that.
That's right. Like, I'm starting to tick off the things that he is caving in on or changing his position on, and it's starting to alarm me a little bit. I've been the strongest Trump defender, ever since he got the nomination, because he was saying the things we really wanted to hear, and he was promising things we wanted to hear that, the other candidates weren't necessarily doing. And once he came into office, I wrote an article about his first 100 days and how he did so many incredible things. I think he did more than, just about any president ever, except maybe FDR, who was massively expanding the welfare state. But I do have some concern. He seems to be backing off on some of this, these conservative principles.
I will tell you this, Rachel, and you've been on my program a lot of times, but if Trump backs water on things like the Paris Climate Accord, or if he changes his position on many things that he promised he would stay strong on during his campaign, I will lead the charge to have his head, figuratively, put on a platter, because I will not support somebody that is going to say things to get elected and then lie and cheat and go back on his word after he's the president. And I'll guarantee you, if that happens, I think it's going to be the ruination of the political system in America, because people will not turn out again.
Yeah, and what it's going to result in is maybe a Democrat will be able to defeat him.
Oh, yeah.
And Trump will have nobody to blame but himself. You know, we're going to see, you know, like George H.W. Bush, you know, what happened in his case. You know, Republicans tired of him capitulating, and so they didn't want to vote for him again. And, you know, Trump could easily turn into that very person. And I could see it coming. I mean, the left has attacked him so bad, you know, between the left attacking him and then the right deserting him. There's a lot of Democrats just waiting to run for president, waiting in the wings. I'm starting to hear the names, you know, Elizabeth Warren. I heard the AG of California, Kamala Harris, I think her name is. He's going to have some tough, stiff competition.
Well, okay, but what would you tell, with your research and your writing ability, what would you tell my audience? I mean, if there are rumblings that this president is going to turncoat on what the people wanted with him, what would you suggest we do? I mean, our voices are not being heard, and if he decides to turn against us, I mean, what avenues of approach do we have to let him know, hey, the frying pan's hanging over your head, you better change and go back the way you said you would be?
You know, there are so many different ways you can, you know, get through to him. You know, one way I would recommend, just because, you know, I think the most powerful thing he's done as president is to tweet every day directly at the American people and go around the fake news media. You know, I would set up a Twitter campaign, you know, set up a Tea Party group, you know, called, you know, Tea Party, you know, something Trump, you know, and just start massive amounts of tweets his way and say, we're going to hold you accountable, and we're going to take over Twitter with all these hashtags and you know, call you out on deserting the very base that got you elected.
I don't think that, pardon my cough, I don't think that we can wait long. I think that, and again, I'd like your opinion on this, but I think the American public and all of the Trump supporters, all of the congressmen, all of the senators that have any backbone whatsoever, they've got to let their voices be heard now. I think if we let this go through the summer, when people are involved in family activities and people have their children on school vacations and everything, I think too much is going to slide by under the radar of people, and I think now, right this very minute, is the time to make sure that Trump's feet are held to the fire.
You're right, because, you know, this is like the honeymoon. This is when he's going to be able to ram through the most stuff right now. And so if he just sits back and caves in on everything, he's giving up the most opportune time. So exactly, I think we need to get on him now. We've seen enough incidences where he's, you know, sliding. I wouldn't wait anymore either. I mean, when you've got people like Ann Coulter who are already backing off on him, and she's not the only one. I mean, there's some other, you know, pretty big names that are getting really upset with him. It's now or never.
Rachel, when you write for the Stream, I mean, what kind of an audience are you getting on your writings? Like the latest one, pundits speculate about why Trump fired FBI Director James Comey. I mean, you, with the power of the pen, how many people are you telling across the nation, and for that matter the world, that they better be more knowledgeable and learn what's going on?
You know, if you want to see the type of people, that particular article has 80 comments after it, so you can kind of get a feel for the type of people reading it. We do get plenty amount of trolls. A lot of people on the left like to come and just, you know, point fingers at us and try to pick apart our articles. We do have a pretty significant Christian conservative audience. However, my audience isn't as big as I would like it to be because Google News still has not let Stream in, and we've been up and running for, you know, almost 2.5 years now, and we keep applying to get in, and even though we're a very big site with original content and, you know, I mean, just incredible people designing the site behind the scenes and lots of, big name writers. Google News does not want to let conservatives into Google News. And so I'm a little troubled that, my writing is not getting out there as much as I really would like it to.
You're a classic example of conservative voices that are being stymied. And I want you to comment if you know about this situation. The new Miss USA was recently crowned in the last 48 hours, and she's a conservative gal. And when asked about her stand on health care and people working, she said, yeah, if you want to get ahead in America, you got to get out and you got to try. You got to use your talents, and you got to work hard for the things in life that you want to get. Oh, the left is going after her, Rachel, like a cat to a plate of milk. They just absolutely hate this girl because she's conservative.
Yeah, I did see that. I think because it was linked on Drudge. I always check Drudge every morning. If you speak out, you are a target for the left, I mean, I've had it done to me, when I started speaking out several years, as you know. The left came after me hard and destroyed my career, my reputation, and my health. I mean, I'm only barely, back to sort of recovering all of them. But, she has guts for doing it because she probably knew once she does, they are going to come after her. They don't want a charismatic, attractive, woman in a position of, somewhat authority as Miss USA doing that. And so they will do everything they can to tear her down and destroy her. And so I always advise young people, if you want to get into politics, you just have to realize, do you have the stamina to do it? Because the left, they can't defeat you in the realm of ideas. They will try to destroy you as a person, and you have to realize, do you want to end up with me, where I had massive health problems. I still have $2,000 in medical debt I haven't even paid off yet from last year. So keep in mind, you can be the happiest, healthiest, good-looking person, and once they come after you, you could end up a shell of yourself.
Absolutely. Rachel Alexander in Arizona, God bless you. Excellent piece in the stream. All the writings are very interesting. Thank you for being on the program. Come back soon.
I appreciate it so much. God bless. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Rachel Alexander. She's right. And it's true. If you're not a part of the left and they want to get you, they're going to get you. It's part of I'll go back and say it's part of the Clinton machine. They didn't like somebody. Oh, there was heck to pay. Oh, my goodness, we got to get a weather forecast on here. And the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. The delicious meats. I mean, all the breakfast sausages and the bratwurst and the buckboard bacon. It's a new, leaner, and more economical bacon. Delicious in various flavors, too, like lemon pepper and smokehouse barbecue, ranch. Oh, my goodness. All of this and more at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Today and for the rest of the week, not going to be as nice as we would like it to be, but it is May and springtime here in southern Idaho. Here's the weather forecast for today. Going to be a little bit on the breezy side, winds out of the west, right around 11 miles an hour. Cloudy skies, high of 63 with an overnight low of 39. Tomorrow, winds picking up to about 16 miles an hour out of the southwest. Expecting rain showers, possible thunderstorms for tomorrow afternoon, high of 61 with an overnight low of 36. Still going to be windy for Wednesday out of the west, right around 25 miles an hour. Looking at a 60% chance of rain showers throughout the day, high of 45 with an overnight low of 36. And then morning rain showers for Thursday with a high of 57. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, my goodness. Come on. Please, can we have some sunshine and 80 degrees? I'm begging for it. Weather forecast brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. Oh, all the meats over there. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, super nice people at Scarrows Meats. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. In regards and reference to the call that we had a little bit ago about the school board elections, of course, you know those elections are tomorrow, May 16th. And vote for the candidate of your choice. And the various polling stations will be open tomorrow for the school board elections in Cassia County. Let's see, what else have I got here real quick? I've got time for maybe another phone call. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You want to go to a busy place and just watch people running all over the place serving you. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm impressed. I always have been with the people and the service and the products at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow! You talk about a hub of activity. Zit, zit, zit. There goes the air wrenches, and there goes the tire, and they're rolling this over here, and they're fixing this, and they're changing the brakes here. Oh, my goodness. Busy. It's summertime almost, and to get you where you're going, they've got the best of tires for your pickup and SUV and your passenger car tires, like the road control tire for your cars, Touring AS, all-season tread, smooth, quiet ride. All of these tires and more are at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're doing the right thing matters. Absolutely. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. There is nobody better than your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They really care. What have we got on the program for tomorrow? Well, let's just take a look here. We're going to have an open forum the first hour, and then at 9:06, we're going to have an old friend of ours on the program. Gary Shoresman's going to be on the air at 9:06, and then we're going to talk. Remember the lady that we talked to about a week ago, and her husband has been in jail since the Bundy situation down in Nevada, and her name is Andrea Parker, and she's going to be back on the program with us. Then at 10:06, of course, we've got my dear friend, Dr. Ken Turner, Dr. History, and then we're going to be talking about the roll call monument and the veterans with our dear friend George Mass, and I think Kelly Anthon, and I can't remember who else is going to be on the program, but that'll be on tomorrow, Tuesday the 16th, so don't miss a minute of it. Let's see if I got anything else I need to remind you of real quick. Oh, yes, and speaking of that roll call monument, the third annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride, sponsored by the Rupert Veterans Memorial, Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, and the City of Rupert. They're going to have a ride 9:30 on Saturday morning, and in support, of course, of our fallen soldiers. And then they're going to meet on the 27th, and that's going to be at the Idaho Roll Call Monument at 7th and Scott Street in Rupert for a memorial program. That's on May 27th. Don't forget it. And for more information, contact George Mass at 650-0104. Got to run. Well, that's funny. Me? But anyway, I've got to leave right now, and we're going to turn it over to Steve Mitten coming up next on K-Bar 1230. And don't forget, we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the ranch will ride the horse for 3 hours. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.